What's up, everybody? I'm Matt.
And I'm Beth.
And today we're going to be reviewing the interior in the 2023 Honda CR-V Hybrid. So this is the Sport Touring, the top trim of the CR-V Hybrid, which is all new here for the 2023 model year and continues on into 2024, basically unchanged. And so as far as this interior, first off, I have to say, I love the design of it. I think it is so cool. You have metal switches and you have this like metal grate here over the air vents, and it just looks a little classier than most of the other vehicles in this segment. And I just think it's really clean. It's very cool. It's not the most high tech, and we'll get into that in a minute, but I think personally, it looks really nice.
Yeah, it is really nice. It has a bunch of different textures, which is really cool and visually pleasing. There is a fair amount of piano black plastic on here, which I'm not loving, and it's also carried over to the doors, which, being high touch points, I hate, because that will get scratched super easily and really dusty and not that visually pleasing. But I think overall it's really nice looking.
And at least they avoided the piano black down by the shifter here like so many other cars like to do. But yeah, so anyway, getting into all the basic stuff here. First off, sitting down in these seats, you have these perforated leather seats here, and I do like the orange stitching here you get on the Sport Touring trim, and all the usual adjustments they have. They're really soft, comfortable seats, but this highlights the first efficiency of the CR-V Hybrid, is that you don't have any kind of cooled seats available whatsoever. And so it's only heated seats here in this top trim, and that's just not okay whenever all the other vehicles that are priced as much as this, or even a little bit less for some of the competitors, offer cooled seats. And it's just a bummer. I mean, if you live in a place where it gets hot, I mean, which is most places in America here, it's a nice thing to have. And so the fact that all the others give you that for the same money and this doesn't, just feels like you're getting, ripped off a little bit.
And also for the passenger, you have power controls, but the worst thing about it is you can't adjust the height, which I think is really surprising, because I feel like that's been happening a lot more recently. They've been adding those height adjustments to the passenger seat. So just make sure you check it out and see if you like it or not.
One nice thing you do get, though, is memory seats here on this top trim, so that's one nice touch. But moving on to the steering wheel here, it's a really great wheel. It's leather wrapped, has a great 9-3 grip, does have heating, so that is one nice thing, but that is only here on this top trim, which is another key distinction. Some other vehicles will offer option packages that have heated steering wheels on lower trims. Unfortunately, here in the CR-V, you only get it as standard on this top Sport Touring trim, which assumes that you also want only a hybrid CR-V and you're okay with that. The gauges also are partially digital, another deficiency, because most of the other competitors these days at least offer fully digital gauges, and again, we're in the top trim and there's no fully digital gauges here. So I mean, it's fine, it's just the speedometer's analog, but on the other side there on the left, you see there's a decent amount of customization to it, and it's blended so well that I don't think it's that big of an issue to have a partially digital cluster. It still looks really nice and it's not a big deal, but it's just, again, another one of those things where this just doesn't compare well with all the other competitors that give you, a full, nice, high-resolution display with lots of customization for, again, the same money, basically. But anyway, moving over to the center of the dashboard here, you have this 9-inch touchscreen, which, again, this is the theme of the CR-V interior, is it's a 9-inch touchscreen. It's fine. It works great. But basically, all the other competitors these days at least offer a larger screen or give you a larger screen as standard.
One plus side, though, is that there is this volume knob, which is really great, except for it is right next to the driver, so it's not very passenger friendly, but that's okay.
Yeah, at least it's not too big of a car, so it's not too bad of a reach.
Yeah, I can still reach it.
But the one really great thing is it has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, which, for example, the Hyundai and the Kia don't offer that. It's still wired in those vehicles. So this does have some advantages there. And I also have to add that it's hooked up to this fantastic Bose stereo, which I think is one of the best stereos in this segment of vehicle. I think the only one that outdoes it potentially is the Mazda CX-50. But aside from that, this is the best stereo out there. Unfortunately, that Bose stereo is reserved only for this top trim once again. So, all these really nice touches are only in the Sport Touring. But anyway, I also really appreciate, though, that the wireless Apple CarPlay connected quickly and was reliable all week, which is something you can't always say about other vehicles that have the wireless smartphone integration. Sometimes it's a little glitchy or a little slow to connect. If it connects at all, sometimes they're not always connecting. But this one was flawless, connected every time quickly, and that's an achievement in and of itself, in my opinion. The other Honda system stuff is really easy to use. It's really nicely set up as far as tuning radio stations and all the other basics. basics, and you know, a really great setup. I just wish it was bigger, and we've seen there's a bigger screen they have in the new Accord, for example, that would fit great here, and I'm hoping it maybe for a refresh in a couple of years that'll, you know, be an addition we get here. But in the meantime, you know, it's a fine screen, but again, you're not going to wow anyone with your interior. Coming down to the climate controls here, this is one of my favorite parts of this interior because they have this really nice click to them, and it just, those little touches that really Moss is the only one that really obsesses over stuff like that, and it just gives us a really high quality feel, and honestly feels a little more luxurious as a result. And they even have some backlighting on them, and just a few basic buttons, nice and simple and straightforward. Also, storage space is great here in the CRVs. You have nice deep pockets in the doors. You have a nice open cubby here in the middle, although I will say this wireless charging pad isn't very good. I've tried charging my phone on there on several occasions, and it'll maybe charge for a minute or two, but then it loses contact, even though it's not like my phone's even really sliding around that much. It's just like a very tiny little contact patch. You have to perfectly have it lined up, and in a moving vehicle, that's an almost impossible ask, so it's going to be borderline useless most of the time. You're going to still have to plug your phone in if you actually want to do reliable charging, but you have some nice jacks right there in that area as well to do that for you. You also have two cup holders, a little bonus space right in front of your armrest, and then the center armrest is nice and softly padded, and you open that up and you'll see a little removable tray and another deep space in there. But speaking of padding, one of the other gripes, I'm sorry, that I have to go into with the CRV is that you have no padding down by your knees. It's all hard plastic. And, you know, some of the competitors have padding, some don't. So it's not like it's a requirement these days, but it's just funny that the HRV, the smaller, cheaper little Honda crossover, has padding all down the middle here and padding everywhere. And so it's funny, this actually feels like a downgrade compared to the HRV interior as far as materials go, because it has all the other same components for the most part. And why they chose the rugged approach here, even though this isn't like a rugged trim or anything, but, you know, having rugged plastic and something that feels cheaper than the cheaper HRV just seems backwards to me. And so it just, and it's also something some of the other competitors do offer padding down here, and the fact that this doesn't just gives it, again, another little bit of a cheaper feel, unfortunately. So it's a very mismatched interior. You have some stuff that's like best in class material quality, and then other stuff where it's like, you know, one of the least impressive in its segment as far as, you know, the other niceties. So it's kind of an interesting blend of the two. And before we head into the back seat, the one other deficiency that this vehicle has is that you just have a regular moonroof. It's a normal small one. It's fine, but a lot of the others offer a panoramic roof. There's nobody getting any kind of panoramic roof here in this vehicle whatsoever. So a little bit of a bummer there. But moving on to the back seat here in the CRV, it's a really nice amount of space. They're nice, soft, comfortable seats. I'm 5'9", sitting behind myself. I easily have probably 4 or 5 inches of legroom to spare. As you can see, a car seat fits great there, and even me being 5'9", sitting in the passenger seat with that, you know, car seat having enough space so our daughter's not kicking the seat back, I still have several inches of legroom to spare. And on the topic of kids, also that rear door opens way wider than all the other competitors for the most part. There's maybe 1 or 2 others that have that similar opening, but Honda's been really good. The last generation did the same thing, where the rear door opens so wide, and so as long as you don't have cars parked close to you, I mean, it is so nice and so much easier to get kids in and out of that seat there, because that door just opens so nice and wide and gets out of the way really well.
Just make sure you don't give anyone any door dings.
Yeah, that's why you got to make sure you got plenty of width there to work with, but it's really great when you can actually use that full opening. They also have full down center armrest. There's also their own dedicated air vents and power outlets there in the back as well, so great to have all of that. Those seats do also recline a little bit if you'd like. And then moving on to the trunk space here in the CRV, it's really good. It's a very long, very wide space, pretty deep as well. I'd say it's one of the best ones in this segment for the most part. You have little pockets there on each of the sides, little power outlet, some grocery hooks there. The only thing I will say is that at least here in the hybrids, there's no way to lift up the floor, so there's no extra space under the floor, no way to get under the floor. It's all like basically sealed off there. I'm assuming that's where the battery's at. So just, you know, a little bit unfortunate you don't have any bonus spaces, which some others in this segment do offer, but you have so much space back there, I don't think you're really going to be, you know, wanting for space here in this thing. It's going to be plenty of space, I think, for most cases, and just a really well done trunk. But anyway, that's all of our thoughts here on the CRV hybrid interior. Overall, it's still really nice. They did a great job on it. I just wish that, you know, it was more competitive, and I think if they could add all those things that it's lacking without raising the price by very much, I think this could be one of the favorites, I think, in this segment. But as it is right now, it just falls a little short in a lot of the really key important areas where the others include those things that this doesn't. So, but aside from that, yeah, I still really like this interior. Be sure to also check out my week with video on what it's like to drive this and kind of fuel economy I get and all that. I'll link that here above. But overall, yeah, let us know your thoughts on the CRV Hybrid in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching. Please also leave a like and subscribe to keep these videos coming, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Take care.